If you don't like who's in there, vote him out, Willie Nelson. Welcome back to Turnout Tuesday. With just 3 weeks until the midterms, we are coming into the final stretch, folks. Now, maybe it's because I'm so conspicuous looking, but often a stranger comes up to me, usually in an airport. It happened again a few days ago. I was in an airport in Texas, and that stranger came up to me and said, what are we going to do? Now, think how you would feel if a stranger came up to you and said, what are we going to do? Well, I will tell you. I'll tell you what I told that person. I said, you got to vote, and you've got to get everybody else to vote. Everything we value, everything we believe in, from the environment to education to equal rights to our democracy itself, depends on containing the catastrophe that's now in the White House, and at least balancing what's now Republican control over all 3 branches of the federal government and 33 state governments. Let's not leave out the state governments. Look, make no mistake about this. This midterm election, 3 weeks away, is going to depend on turnout. And turnout will depend on how motivated people are to vote. Turnout among young people will be especially important. In last midterm in 2014, only 16% of eligible voters between the ages of 18 and 29 actually voted. In some Republican-dominated states, voters intending to vote Democratic are going to have to be particularly motivated in order to overcome barriers, entrenched barriers, like requirements for picture IDs, the purging of voter lists, putting polling places miles away, gerrymandered districts. But let me tell you something. We can do it. We have to do it. We don't have a choice. The chances of taking back the Senate are not high, but they are possible. In the House, chances are better. Democrats need to pick up 24 seats from Republicans in order to cement a majority. And according to the most recent polls, there are 53 Republican-controlled seats that are now too close to call. Now, obviously, having gone through 2016, beware of the polls. They don't tell us anything about motivation, enthusiasm, the likelihood that people are actually going to get out and vote. But the polls at least provide something of a baseline. So let's take a look at some of the most critical races, if you bear with me. How's that? How's that for a map drawn just freelance? Now, here in California, if you can see it, there are 5 districts that went for Hillary Clinton. These should be fairly easy targets for Democrats this year if we keep up the momentum. Those districts are, and I didn't label them, but I know them by heart: California 10, California 25, California 45, California 39, and California 48. You got them? Now, where else could Democrats pick up seats? Well, there are 7 more Clinton districts scattered across the country, which could easily flip. Now, those districts are Florida 26, Florida 27, it's actually here, New Jersey 7. Where is New Jersey 7? There it is. You see. Pennsylvania 1, Texas 7, and Texas 32, which I think is right here, and Washington 8. If you're in any of those districts, you know you have a chance, but I don't want to limit you to those districts. In other words, you've got to vote wherever you are. I'm just saying these are the districts where there is a particularly good chance. Now, that makes 12 districts. To get to 24, Democrats also have to win in districts that went for Trump in 2016. 9 districts that went very narrowly for Trump in 2016, but could go for Democrats, are Virginia, number 2, Also, Iowa number 3. Those of you in Iowa recognize Iowa number 3. Illinois 14. Let's see, New Jersey 3, Virginia 7, Ohio 1, Michigan 8, Utah 4, and New York 19. How's that? See what I've put in my head. Now, as you can tell, these districts tend to be in the heart of America. They are bastions of hope in a sea of red. Okay, so 12 districts that went for Hillary, plus 9 seats in districts that narrowly went for Trump. That makes 21 seats. Still 3 seats short of winning back the House, assuming Democrats don't lose any seats they currently hold. But remember, there are also a lot of Republican-held districts where Democratic candidates are now putting a great deal of pressure on incumbents. 6 Republican incumbents appear to be particularly vulnerable and in dire trouble. Representative Rod Blum in Iowa, number 1, right about there. Barbara Comstock, Virginia 10, right, actually just about there. Jason Lewis in Minnesota 2. Eric Paulson, Minnesota 3. Mike Kaufman, Colorado 6, right there. You recognize that. Mike, you're vulnerable. Kevin Yoder, Kansas 3. Kansas 3. It's actually right here. And Keith Rothfuss in Pennsylvania 17. I think it is right there. There are another 8 districts where Trump won by more than 9 points, but in which Democratic candidates have closed the gap and could pull off upsets. These districts are, ready for this? I hope you're writing these down. This is important. North Carolina 13, Maine 2, Illinois 12, Kentucky 6, New York 22, New Mexico 2, North Carolina 9, and Kansas, wait for it, Kansas 2. So, to recap, Democrats need to pick up 24 seats in the House, right? 12 districts that Clinton won. There are 5 in California and 7 scattered around the rest of the country. 9 seats that narrowly went for Trump, mostly in the Midwest. That's 21 right there. To get to 24, Democrats will have to pick up a few more seats in districts that went for Trump. Now, again, this is just a very, very rough forecast. My point is this. No matter how you slice this, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be hard. This is going to come down to turnout. Most people, you know how important it is to vote in the upcoming midterms, but I keep hearing from a few of you who worry that your vote won't matter because Putin and his minions, you say, or you fear, will once again interfere in our election, either by spreading misinformation or altering the vote counts. Or 2, you worry, some of you, that voter suppression tactics are going to keep millions from the polls, effectively tipping the scales in favor of Republicans. Or 3, you live in gerrymandered districts, heavily skewed already in Republicans' favor. Now, I understand these concerns, but the response to them is not to give up. Don't give up on our democracy. That's exactly what Trump and his enablers, and maybe Vladimir Putin, all want us to do. By allowing ourselves to become discouraged and demoralized, we are playing into their hands. To the contrary, let's become even more resolved than ever to preserve and to protect our democracy. So please make sure you put November 6th on your calendar, make time to vote, make sure your friends vote. If you have family or friends in purple or even red states, urge them to help contain the Trump catastrophe and vote. If you have kids or grandkids of voting age, make sure they vote. If you don't have kids or grandkids of voting age, find some kids or grandkids of voting age and make sure they vote. No more complaining. This is our chance and our responsibility. Organize. Now, here's what you can do. Getting out the vote is going to be critically important. The best way to encourage others to vote is the personal touch. Now, Move On is organizing canvassing in districts across the country. You can find a canvassing event near you at this address. It's act.movon.org/event/canvas_attend/. Did you get that? Let me give it to you once again. This is act.movon.org/event/GOTV_canvas_attend/. Now, if you would like to call your fellow voters to encourage them to vote, you can join an indivisible phone bank from your home. Just go to www.indivisible.org/phonebank. It's as simple as that. Let me give it to you again, www.indivisible.org/phonebank. Now, also, if you're ready to vote, check when early voting starts in your state. Some states it's already started. You might already be able to submit your ballots. And one thing you can do to check, you can check here, www.vote.org/earlyvoting-calendar/. Got that? www.vote.org/early-voting-calendar/. And now, for your questions. If I can find them. Here are your question cards. And there's not a single question. No questions today. What happened to your questions? I have no idea. Oh, there they are. Wait a minute. Okay, your questions. Mary Harmel. Is there still time to register? I just moved. Do I need to update my information? Mary, it depends on your state. Now, a lot of people don't focus on this, and that is every state has different rules. The Constitution leaves it up to the states in terms of what the particular voting rules are with regard to registration, and you've got to check what I gave you, that address I just gave you, that site I gave you. Wendy Martinez, how do I convince Trump voters, I know, to vote for a Democratic Congress? Well, Wendy, what you need to say, I think that the argument I use, now if they're absolutely rigid Trumpsters, I mean, they may not even be willing to talk to you, but what I say to a lot of people who are leaning Republicans or conservatives, I at least make the case that right now we have all three branches of the federal government under Republican control. And those Republicans are really under the thumb of Donald Trump as never before in our recent history. In fact, I can't remember when we've had all three branches under the same party and that party under the control of the president. And checks and balances, some constraint, some balance is critically important. And even Republicans should understand how important it is to maintain checks and balances. Michelle Remnick, if Democrats take back the House, can they require Trump to disclose his tax returns? Michelle, the good news is yes. There is a particular law passed years ago, before Donald Trump even dreamed of becoming president, or any of us dreamed he would become president, that gives the House Ways and Means Committee the power to subpoena the tax records of a president. Now, he's going to fight that, obviously, but that is the law. And the House Ways and Means Committee could do it. That's one of the, if we really do want to get to the absolute bottom of Trump's finances and any relationship he had with Russian oligarchs and so on, we do need to see his tax returns. And we can. Nancy Pimlott, I feel very depressed about the midterms. Can you help ease my nerves? What are our chances? Nancy, look, I wish I were a fortune teller. I wish I could tell you our chances are very good. I can't. All I can say is that, and I sound like a broken record, I know, but it is true. Turnout, 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 turnout. Say it over and over to yourself. Nancy, you and everybody else. We don't know. But there is a very good chance if we are fired up. Thomas Denning, will Trump fire Rosenstein and Mueller after the midterms? And if so, what happens to the Mueller investigation? Thomas, I believe that Trump is going to fire Rosenstein and make an attempt to fire Mueller right after the midterms. He has said over and over that Mueller's job is safe until, and Rosenstein's job is safe until the midterms. That's 3 more weeks. Now, what happens when Trump fires Rosenstein and then puts in somebody who will fire Mueller or fires Mueller directly? Well, it's not clear. We've only been here once before, and that was with Richard Nixon. I believe, again, if the Democrats have the House, it's going to be much harder for the president, for Donald Trump, to fire Rosenstein and indirectly or directly fire Mueller. But one thing Mueller could do, and I have no inside information at all, but Mueller could protect his investigation by having a sealed indictment. He could go to the grand jury. He could get the grand jury to take all of the evidence and seal it. And then if it wants to be, even if he's fired, it's still there. And the only way to unseal an indictment, if that's what the grand jury wants to do, indict the president or anybody else, the only way to unseal that would be to go to a judge. In other words, take it out of the president's hand and entirely give it to the court. Maybe Mueller has already done that. He is not a stupid man. In fact, he's, from all accounts, a very intelligent man. And I think there may be other ways for him to protect his evidence so far. And finally, Mike Amercia. What happens if Democrats don't win back the House or the Senate? I don't want to think about that, Mike. And that's all for tonight. As always, a special thank you to Omri Shir Dalal, to Shada Azamian, and to Andrew Santana. And we'll see you next week.